People. Hello,
Very funny.
and welcome to Calvin and Ren Review.
Couldn't
Calvin
find
will
my
be
hat.
joining me shortly.
I couldn't find my hat.
Here he is. We found him.
Right, so we're almost done with this. We're very tired now.
Yeah, I had about an hour nap just before because I'm very tired and I've eaten a lot of food since I've been here.
And in a day when I found out that I'm going to have to, when I was said I was going to review Sonic IDW comics, I'm now going to have to review them one a week, which was not what I had planned. And we went to see The Breadwinner.
We did indeed.
It's animated film. It's another animated film that we saw. The last animated film we're seeing this festival, which have certainly been the highlights for me this festival. So to point, but this is taking your name's place from last year as being the animated film in the official competition. In fact, it's the only film in the official competition that we've seen this year, which is a shame because I would have liked to have seen more for comparison.
It does actually seem interesting that that they should only really put one animated movie in the official competition without another sort of comparison baseline.
Well, to be honest with that one, the animated until last year there had not been an animated film in the official competition.
Oh right, okay.
Up to that point, there had not been one. It's more, I think, because that one did that well. With that, they sort of opened the floodgates and said, "Yeah, okay, now we can have animated films in."
Yeah.
It's not the only competition. There's also the first feature competition for first-time directors and the documentary competition, none of which we saw films from.
No.
But Breadwinner, it's directed by Nora Tomwe. It's based on a script. It's based on the book by Deborah Ellis, who also does the script. He also is one of the screenplay writers, along with Anita Doran. And the producers are quite interesting because one of the producers in the one who's really been advertised is Tom Moore, who's he's a director I really, really like. He's directed two of my favourite animated films of the last few years, Secret of Kells and Song of the Sea, which both are fantastic movies. And I even wrote in my review of Song of the Sea, if Miyazaki is the Spielberg of Japan, Tom Moore's the Miyazaki of Ireland. I stand by that one. I mean, I was surprised about it as 93 minutes. I thought it was a lot longer than that.
Yeah, it did feel like quite a long film.
Yeah. I was also Angelina Jolie is an executive producer on it, although she doesn't make an appearance in the entire film.
No.
Which is probably for the best, considering that despite the fact this film is in English, the entire cast is made up of actors from that part of the world.
And it's a story set in the Middle East, basically, detailing the life of
the life of this 11-year-old girl called Pavana, who I think it's in Afghanistan. Because they never actually state which country it is. But judging by the fact they mentioned about a civil war, these certain conflicts, all that business, that would suggest it would take place in that time period.
Yeah.
In that country, because it sort of suits the geological and the historical context.
Yeah. So the it follows the story of a girl called Pavana, who again, like very young, begins the film at the marketplace with her father, who's only got one leg. Don't know how he lost it.
He said he lost it in a war.
Oh, okay, he lost it in the war. But shortly after, her father is taken as a prisoner by the Taliban. And is taken to one of the huge sort of citadel prisons.
Because he has forbidden books and is teaching his daughters.
Yeah.
Which of course is not allowed by the Taliban.
Nope. And as a result, without basically in this society, you're not allowed to go around on your own. If you're a woman, you have to have a man with you. It has to be your husband or your brother or your father or something. Escorting you around basically, and you can be quite severely punished if you're found to be not adhering to those rules.
Yeah, it does not go lightly on that one in this film.
No, and it does actually happen a couple of times, so we won't go into too much detail. But as a result, Pavana finds that she has to dress herself up as a boy in order to provide for the family through work, through other means, and just sort of trying to scrape by basically to help this family survive.
But there's also an element of the storytelling, which I felt was rather influenced by Khalil Gibran's The Prophet.
Yeah, so Pavana's father always has always taught her that stories are
essentially power and legacy and culture and passed down
the
from
way
one
that you
generation
teach,
to
the
another.
way that you teach as well. So throughout that as well, it basically shows Pavana telling the story to her family members, and it starts off with her father telling her the story. And so it suggests this dual narrative, and it does sort of follow along with the story and teaches lessons to the family as they go on at pertinent times, to other members of the cast that we meet, and all over just provides this sort of parallel to what's actually going on in the world, and also reflects that quite nicely, which is a very effective technique. And it's also the change in animation styles which allow a little bit of a break from the more harsher, more realistic and quite heavy scenes. But yeah, so I mean, I'll say flat out, I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed it.
I'll go one further. I thought this film was great. I just really adored this film.
Yeah.
It's very well told. It's very well researched. I don't know how. I haven't read the book, so I don't know how accurate it is to the book. Maybe I'll give it to the Dom as a lost in adaptation request when he's done the other one that I asked him to do, which he's already said he's going to do. He's put it on his to-do list.
Yeah.
To-do list. I got the email about that. Thanks, mate. Even by itself, I haven't seen. Even if you haven't read the book, I think you'll get something out of this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I went into it not really having seen much about it or heard much about it, or even that it was based on a book. But it was really interesting because as with Florida Project, which we saw not yesterday but the day before on Friday, in a different way, but it details a sort of lifestyle, a way of living, and a set of rules that we're not really used to as a society, living in sort of living in not an impoverished area, and not an area so far away from the idea of an Islamic rule as well.
But again, whereas with both of them, the Islamic rule and poverty-stricken Florida, it's again playing to trendy London types as well, because it's the London Film Festival.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of people that are coming up for the festival like we are. Most of the people that this festival's playing to live here.
Yeah, precisely.
In regards to that, I felt this one did a lot better than Florida Project.
Yeah, you weren't a massive fan, which is fair.
We already go into detail about that. It was a vlog that was released yesterday. I kind of but that being said, I think it did that part very well. I feel like I feel like it does it. I feel what it does is it makes it seem more human in a sense.
I think. The way it's portrayed, and I'm trying to think of like a good comparison, but it's like, because it's so far from the reality that we live in the West, in Western sort of societies where we're not subjected to this constant struggle to try and support our families. We're not subjected to the struggle where women are forced around in sort of have to be escorted around by men. At least not by law. Certain cultures still technically have their own sort of enforcement issues. And it almost seems like the idea of violence and war and conflict is normalised in through this film. And it's interesting to note, and I mentioned this to Cal as well, that it is done in an animated form, because that's very much a childlike representation of the world of the worldview of the protagonist. Even though I have a belief that animation should not just be for children, it should. I believe it can do a lot of work for adult works. Oh, absolutely, but I mean, what I'm saying is this film is not. It's not for children. It's not for children in any sense of the word. In fact, it's. I mean, it's got messages and things, but it's quite horrifying because it's a quite sobering outlook on issues that we don't face, but are faced quite commonly by people across the world. From us, that is. As I say, an hour and a half, but for an hour and a half, it does its job very well. Absolutely, there's a lot of content in this. And it's very enjoyable. I loved the story. I loved the characters. I feel it did
The voice acting was very good. It had an ending I wasn't really expecting, but I liked for the most part.
I think one of the things that it sort of showcases is one of the more common things within animated films. Well, I mean, apart from actually, no, I'd say a fairly good comparison would be something along the lines of Grave of the Fireflies. You may disagree if you'd excuse, but I think sort of showcasing the hardships and just how cruel some people in the world can be. Without actually having done anything wrong, people can just have this horrendous outlook on you and your family and any sort of action that you might pursue, just because of the way that you are and the circumstances of the world around you.
Yeah, but the difference is in that one it is actually the circumstances, and that's one it is the circumstances around the family, where it is harsh and unfair. Whereas in Grave of the Fireflies, it's not the world putting it on him. He has every opportunity to fix that situation, and he doesn't out of pride. And again, there's a very good reason for that Benedict Sage goes into.
Are you referring to the living with the auntie?
Yeah, he could have gone back to his aunt any time.
She was mistreating and abusive, which is I think why they didn't.
But he could have swallowed his pride and gone back there and set for the. But he never even contemplates it.
Well, I mean, I would disagree with that, mainly because of the way they were treated by their auntie, which is the reason why they fled in the first place.
But at the same time, he put his sister in that situation. That's again, it's for the reasons that. It's basically for the reason that Takahata wanted people to connect, Japanese teenagers to connect with that being their parents, so that way it would influence them into parental compliance. Benedict Sage did a big video about this for Anime Abandon.
Yeah.
Which
I
must be. A lot of people say they cried at the end of Grave of the Fireflies. I never cried once.
Honestly,
I honestly never cried. I did not. I didn't feel anything when she died.
Oh my god.
I
fucking cried.
I honestly felt nothing. I was just because I felt wrong in the back of my head. But with the Breadwinner, I feel the characters with this one. I really feel for the characters, and I thought the film had some very. I felt it was very impressive on a lot of levels, and it's a very well done character story. I actually really liked the fact they introduced a second character that was like her. They introduced another girl who's disguising herself as a boy who was his old friend at school. And the thing is, they do it very well because you don't necessarily get that at first, but and then becomes apparent, and it's done I think a lot of this film is done very well. I mean, there's not that much mention of the American invasion of that region of the Middle East until there's certain points that sort of foreshadow the idea that it's going to happen. Whether it happens in the movie or not, well, we won't say.
And another one of the things that I think I just remembered about the character, was it Razak?
Yeah.
The big guy. It's interesting that like one of the things that Pavana, while she's pretending to be a boy, so she sat in the marketplace basically selling some of her possessions, and she's basically saying we'll read anything, we'll write anything, because a lot of the general population, and indeed some of the people who are fighting, simply can't read, and it also shows the education problem as well as the lack of equality between genders and just as a general stereotype between them. It's quite an interesting one. The fact that they actually have to offer out services and that being able to read and write is quite an uncommon thing.
Yeah, it's also interesting that it portrays the idea that it actually portrays the rather worrying reality that a lot of the groups like Taliban and ISIS are coming from a lot of a younger model rather than an older generation.
Yeah, that's true. They do also sort of share a degree of quite a few younger people.
Especially the former teachers, student, who's kind of the most prevalent villain throughout.
Well, I mean, not even villain. He's just a a nuisance. He's just horrible. He's the cause, but he's not the he's not really an antagonist.
He's kind of an antagonist for some scenes, but he's just not really in the film long enough to be a complete antagonist.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say though is I felt I found it also very interesting how much it looks like Song of the Sea and Secret of Kells, although it's a bit more updated than those. It's a bit different from those films. The character designs feeling very similar, but with those two films, they were going for more of a children's storybook look and feel. This one is definitely trying to be a lot more mature. It's taking the same sort of design, but trying to be a lot more mature with it, and I think it works quite well. But the difference is, with the exception of the storybook scenes within this one, which shift animation styles, and it's done in a very interesting way. I quite like the animation shifts they have.
It's quite nice, and it's interesting because it details as well different cultures as well. They talk about the Hindu Kush Mountains.
The Hindu Mountains, Alexander the Great.
That all sort of parts of history, and it's obviously meant that this art style is supposed to represent things that are away from the reality that these people live in. And that is sort of highlighted in the.
It kind of has an Arabian Night feel to it.
Yes.
But the final thoughts, because we're running low on the time that this camera can record. So
I would say see it in the cinema. I think it's very good. I also think I'll probably buy it on DVD and watch it a couple of times. Maybe I'd say this is one. As a parent, you probably watch first yourself, and then maybe show it to your kids. But,
I'm sure I'd show it to my kids if I had kids. But that being said,
I mean, it's not like a kids one. I'm not saying like 5 or 6 year olds, because this would probably this
is scarred for life. Yeah.
But I'd say like 10, 11. Let's say probably.
Okay, I'll give you that one. But my attitude is, I actually think this would suit a YA crowd quite well, the young adult novel reading crowd.
Maybe,
quite well. I've been certainly better than after stuff that would be aimed at their market. But I think see it in the cinema. So for the love of God, see this one in the cinema when it gets a release.
There's quite a lot of visually quite striking scenes, and I think it is worth seeing in the cinema just for how unique it looks a lot of the time.
Yeah, it feels unique, and I don't think I'm going to see another animated film like this before the end of the year.
No.
I will say though, I think all the animated films that we've seen at the festival have been really good.
Yeah, absolutely.
They've all been. That being said, we're not going to say what our best and worst film at the festival were until this evening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
When we see the summit.
Yeah.
Which probably means by the time that but the thing is, because it's taking so long to upload this, by the time this gets uploaded to YouTube, we're probably either on a train home or we're back home.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, me in Chester.
Hi, future me. Oh yeah. But yeah, so there are thoughts.
Thank you for watching it. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and you can follow us on Twitter. We leave it in the description box below.
We really do. So thank you very much, and see you next time.
Oh, thank God he's going on to do it.